Hi guys, you're welcome to my channel. So today we want to look at something very much important when designing for communication. Communication design is something very much important that you need to start with as a beginner or intermediate graphic designer. And that's the reason why we are going to be looking at this particular poster today in this class. This poster is meant to teach you how to design for awareness, not any other thing. Because when a client comes to meet you for your design job, most times anything they want to use flyers for, the basic of that thing is to create awareness, not to tell the entire details of the program or the purpose of the flyer. Most flyers are meant for awareness, especially if it is banner. So for that reason, you need to get this right. And that's the reason why we are going to be looking at this poster together. I hope you are ready to do that with me. So let's get started now. Here I am on my laptop, and the next thing I want to do, I believe you are on yours as well. If you want to follow this particular class all together, the next thing you just need to do is for you to check the description part of this video and download the entire resources for this class and follow up with me. So let's get into it. Now, I'm going to be using Photoshop for this project, and I'll create my document. The name of this is just, let me say, 7up ads. All right, that's the name of the document. So it's going to be width 2160 and height 2700, resolution 300, and click on create. Make sure your color mode is RGB because we are not going to print this. Click on create. Now we are here. The next thing I'm going to do is to create my margin. That is, come to view, go to guide, and new guide layout. Then make it 150 throughout and click on OK. After this, the very first thing that you want to do is to create your background. But when creating background, like I said in the last tutorial, you need to be very sure that your product and your background, they are in harmony. At the same time, the product that is the focus of your design stand out, despite that is in harmony with your background. And I told you in that class that one of the reasons or ways in which you can achieve that is to make sure that the color of your focus and your background, they are monochromatic. Monochromatic in the sense that they are the same color. They might be different in what? Shade or tint. However, they are the same hue. The same thing is what I'm going to do with this now. Now, let's bring in the product image. This is going to be the focus of this design. Here I have it. Now, if you look at the color on this product, we have the blue and the green. For that reason, our background will also be the blue and the green, in a way that this product will still stand out on the background. Please note all of these things that I'm pointing out. They are very important, should in case you want to create something different from this. This principle will as well work for anything you want to create. Let's get started. Now, I'm going to go to adjustment layer and click on solid color. Then sample this blue. We want it to be the dominant color. You can decide to make the green the dominant color. Everything is basically your choice. Then I want the dark part of the blue. Yeah, this is okay. Click on OK now. Come back to the adjustment layer again and click on solid color and sample the light part of the green. This is too much. Let's pick this. Good. And click on OK. Now go back to this green. On this particular mask here, this luminosity mask, you can see everything is white. And if you look at this place here, you see the foreground color black and the background color is white. Therefore, click on Alt and click on Backspace to hide this luminosity layer. You can see everything is filled with black, and that's why you're not seeing that color again. Now, before I do what I want to do, let's position this particular drink in a way that it is energetic. Because if you just have it as straight as what we have here right now, it's not really like, it's not looking exciting. And how do I know that it's not looking exciting? If you look at the logo of Sprite that we have on this can, you can see that it is dynamic in nature. So it's going to make sense if the product also take that same direction. Click on Ctrl T and rotate this like this. You can see now almost in the same direction as the logo. This is making sense. Let's reduce the size a bit. Click on Shift and reduce the size so that it's not going to change proportion, that is distort. Let me reduce the size a bit more. This is fine right now. Okay, so if I have this now, I position it at the center. Now go back to the green mask, this black one, and click on your brush. Change the brush to soft round brush. Make sure that your hardness is 0. That makes it a soft round brush. Make sure that the opacity is 100% and the flow is also 100%. Now increase the size of the box by clicking on the right bracket, as you can see on the screen. So with these brackets now, you can reduce it with the left and sample the center. Make sure that the foreground color now is white. Then click on this. You can see what we have right now. The next thing we want to do now is to combine these two together. Pick the two colors together, that is the green and the blue. Select them together. You can click on the green and hold your control, then select the blue. Right click and convert it to smart objects. Now that you've converted this one to smart objects, rename it as your background. Background. Now for this background, I can delete this one now. It's no longer useful. You can see now that we have achieved something great. Our image is now perfectly in focus and our background also stands out. Once you get your background successfully and is in harmony with the object in focus, you have about 40% successful with your design. Then the remaining 60% is what we want to achieve together now to make the design look quite interesting. Now, back to this. Another thing to do for this background now is to give it a texture. Go to Filter and go to Noise, Add Noise. Now, the noise you want to add should not be too much because you want this thing to look as realistic as possible. If you increase this now, this is too much, reduce it. This is also too much, reduce it. This is as well too much. You want this to be sub 2. That's why I'll put it on 5. With this 5 now, it looks good. Looking very similar, if you look at the texture of the background and the texture that you have on the can is quite very much close now. So we can move on. Make sure the distribution is uniform and is monochromatic. Click on OK. Now, the next thing we want to do now is to make this can look more interesting. We want to bring in some elements that is going to attract people to look at this particular awareness poster. And how do we do that? We do that by creating a water splash. Now you might be wondering, why water splash? Most products, such as liquids, any liquid products, one of the best way to create their awareness poster is to use what? Splashes. For example, if it is a chocolate, you want to use a chocolate splash. If it is a beer, you want to use a beer splash. If it's a fruit product, you want to what? Use the fruit splash. But if you look at this right here, one of the things that we always use to categorize this kind of beverages is the wetness, how chill it is. For that reason, I'm going to be using water splash for this. Let's see how we are going to create our realistic splash. Because a lot of designers usually use this, but it's not always looking realistic. You want yours to look absolutely real. Now, let's quickly look into that. The first thing I'm going to do to create my splash is to create a solid color adjustment layer. Select the dark gray. When you select this dark gray, just come here. I don't have any value specifically. Just select the dark shade of gray and click on OK. Then come to the marks here, that is the luminosity marks. Click on Alt, make sure that your foreground color is black. And if your foreground color is not black, it's fine. If you have it to be white like this, all you just need to do is to click on Control and click on Backspace. But if you have the foreground color at the top to be black then you have to use Alt and backspace. I hope you understand that. Cool. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is to select my brush and look for my splash brush, water splash brush. If I click this now, you can see I have there are different ones that I can use. However, I found this appropriate more. Increase the size of this and sample this. Now make sure that your foreground color is white and your opacity and your flow, they are 100%. So dab these ones. You can see now we have this water splash here. But if you look at this now, it's not really looking interesting. I'm very sure you agree with me. It's not looking interesting, right? Cool. There's no problem. We can make it look interesting. The next thing you want to do right now, after you've sampled this, is to change this blend mode to luminosity. Change the blend mode to luminosity. Then click on Ctrl J. When you click on Ctrl J, you duplicate this layer. Now, convert the blend mode of this layer to multiply and click on the mask. Click on Alt and click on this mask. You have this. Ctrl L to activate your level. Now, we want to take away all the black. Can you see now? So, we want to have this. I think this is better now. Okay. Then click the outside. So, you have something that looks like this. Now, click on Ctrl J again. At this point in time, click on this and clip max it inside this first one. And click this one also and clip max it here. If you don't know how to clip max, just right click. You are going to find what? Clip max here. Instead of release clipping max, you are going to see make clipping max there, which is what we have done here. Change the color of this one to light gray, very close to white. Are you getting where I'm coming from now? All right. So if that should be the case, click on OK, then change the blending mode of this one to difference. All right, you can see we have a quite realistic water splash, but that's not all. Click on this mask and click on Ctrl I to invert the mask. Absolutely great. Now select everything together, select the very top one and the last one and click on Ctrl G rather, to group it and label it splash 1. Now we've created what? A very much realistic splash. Now there's something else for us to do. If you look at this splash here, it looks as if this water splash actually move around this particular can. How can we achieve that? Very simple. All you just need to do is to create a layer mask on this splash 1. Click on this one, layer mask, and you change your foreground color to black, and click on the thumbnail of the image. Then click Control, select the thumbnail so that it's going to select only the can. Then pick your soft round brush. When you click on your soft round brush, the next thing you want to do now is to erase some part of this, which is this place here. So if I clean this place off now, it will look as if this water actually passed through the back like this. Are you getting where I'm coming from now? The same thing is what I'm going to do to this one as well. I'll clean this place off, erase it off. Good. So you can see what we have here now. You see that it makes it look as if this water actually come from the back like this and come to the front, then go to the back and come outside here. That is how realistic we want it to look. Now, that's not all. Let's make it more interesting. Now, another way of making this to look more interesting is to bring in this image again, or you duplicate the current one. However, let me just drag this in. Now, reduce the size of this. Now, I'll take this down here like this. Okay, let's just put this one here. Now, what exactly do I want to achieve by placing this one here? I want a situation whereby this water that we have on this design is not going to look as if it comes from nowhere. For that reason, I want to create a relationship between this water and a more realistic water splash. And what I mean by a more realistic water splash, let me show you what I'm talking about. I think something is missing over here. Okay. Good. Just to review some parts that I accidentally cleaned. Now, back to this now. I'm going to create another water splash. Uh, just the same way we do that. Go to solid, click on a very dark gray, and click on OK. Then click on this. Or better still, another thing you can do instead of creating another one is to just duplicate this, Control J. Then delete this layer mask. Just drag the layer mask to the trash can and click on this. All this one, fill it with black. Click on Control and backspace. And this one also backspace. And this one also backspace. You see, everything is fine now. Now, the next thing I'm going to do now is to rename this as Splash 2. Splash 2. That's good. Now, come to this particular layer here and pick your brush. Now, we are going to select another form of water splash. Let's look at another water splash that can fit into what we want to do now. We want to create something like the drink actually fall inside the water. So let's see. So this is a water splash here. Okay. I think this one here should work. No, this is not working. So just take your time to select the one that can actually work from this. We don't want this. Okay, oh God, I think it should be the first one. Yeah, so this is the one we are going to use right here. Make sure that your foreground color is white. And the next thing to do now is to dab into this place. Let me take it back so that you can see what I want to do clearly. Now, I'm going to reduce the size of this and watch and make this dab like that. Good. Control 0 to zoom out. Let me hide this so that we can see clearly. All right, hide the bar. Good. You can see now that we have this water underneath here. Look at see this particular drink fall inside it, then the water splash up, and it has a good connection with this one. That is what we want to achieve. Now, I'll just click on Alt and take it to this particular layers here. Then click on this layer and click on Alt and click on this. Then Control L. When you click on Control L, take this down here. Just pretty much the same thing that we did earlier. And click on OK. Then click the outside. Then duplicate this again. Click Alt and drag it into this marks. You see, we have this absolute one. Then click on Control I on this. Now, you see how everything look very much realistic. Now, I keep on saying the water needs to look realistic. The water needs to look realistic. What do I mean? If you look at these particular designs that we have here, you can see that water is transparent and the density of water is not as much as that of chocolate or milk or beer. Are you getting this now? For that reason, if you just pick up the splash that you download online and put it on this design, the density of the splash you download online is always kind of too much, such that it should not look realistic. Am I making sense now? But if you look at this, water is transparent and you can see it pick the color of every part. You see, when it is green, the part is green. When it is blue, the part is blue. And when it is even the mixture of blue and green, you can see it. That's how realistic your splash needs to look like. Am I making sense? Now we are done with this. Let's now bring in another thing that always make all this kind of poster looking to look good and realistic is for you to look at some raw material that they use to create all this kind of a thing. For example, now for Sprite, we can think of lemon. For that reason, I'm going to go into my folder here and pick out this lemon. Now I have this now, reduce it, and let's just have it around it somewhere like this. All right, so this is kind of too much. Let's just reduce the size like that. So I have this here. Now, if you look at this now, I'll call this lemon 1. Now, this lemon is too bright because it's looking odd from what the background looks like. For us to do that, let's control the color. Let's go to filter and go to camera raw filter. Under the camera raw filter, we are going to work on the light because it's too bright. For that reason, reduce the exposure. So when you reduce the exposure, you see that natural green is coming up. So take up the contrast, reduce the highlights, and let's increase the shadow. Yeah, so it become more darker. Then the white part should also go up because we still want it to look realistic, and this one should go down. Now let's go to the color. The temperature should move closer to blue a bit, and let's take this down to the green part. Okay, the vibrance should go up and the saturation should as well go up a bit. Now let's go back to this place and reduce the exposure more. All right, good. It's making a bit of sense now than what it was before. I'll not really spend much time here. You can spend a lot of time, as much as you can, so that you get something more realistic. So let me just leave this like this. For those who wants to work more on it, you can do that. But I can see very much better before and then after. Okay. Now we have this now. Very, you see, it's looking as if it's part of the club now. Good. Now let's take this one now, duplicate it, and let's have it somewhere here. Absolutely nice. Yes. Now I'm going to take this one to be at the back of this can here. And I think it makes a lot of sense like this. Now, what's the next thing I want to bring in? Let's bring in some things that will make this thing look natural. Now, I want to bring in leaf into this. And do you know why I want to bring in leaf into this? I want to communicate something that is not real about this product, because by the time I add leaf to this particular design, it makes people feel like it is organic, and probably they will consider it as something that is something that is healthy to consume a lot of it. And that's one of the trick in marketing. All of these are what you need to understand as a communication designer. So let's go into it. Now I'll go into my folder and drag in the leaf. Welcome, Mr. Leaf. Reduce the size of this and take this to this part here. I think it's fine. You can leave it there. Just distribute it the way you are more convenient with. Absolutely, there's no rule or principle regarding my distribution. I'm just trying to maintain balance. Whatever I have at this side, I want it to be equivalent to what I have at this side. If you observe that, you see that that is what I've been doing since. Good. If that should be the case, this one need to be scaled up a bit. Yeah, let's scale it up a little bit like this. Absolutely good. Now I'm going to duplicate it once again, Ctrl J, and I'm going to take it down to this place. So Ctrl T to activate this, increase the size of it, and let's have it inside here. All right. Now, if you look at this now, this gives some kind of absolute sense of originality and healthy nature of a thing. So if I have this now, the next thing is, let me duplicate the leaf also again. Okay. All right, so this is the leaf here. Ctrl J again, and I'll take it down to this place. Ctrl T, then rotate it a bit, slant, increase the size, and put it inside here like that. All right, well, everything is quite making sense right now, and you're just done with this particular design. However, you need to arrange your layer. Select these three together, Ctrl G, and label them leaf. All right, and these are the pictures. Call it images. All right. And one of the reasons why you need to label all your layers like this, they are just for people to easily edit it in case you are working with a team of designers. I hope you understand that. Now, the next thing now is to bring in the logo of this brand, which is this. Absolutely. Reduce the size. Once you reduce the size, bring it somewhere here. Let it be in the same direction as the drink. You need to pay attention to all these little details. They matters a lot. If you follow the entire dynamic control, or you take the entire dynamic control on your design, everything is going to look palatably well. So if I divide this design into two, you can see it actually look balanced. Oh, so let's reduce the size of this a bit. All right, so that's awesome. So we have this now. I think I should increase it a bit. One of the things you need to always watch out for in your design is scale. Scaling is very much important in every design that you are making out there. Okay, so right here we are done with this particular design now, but you can't just send this design like this or upload this like this. Do you know why? Anytime you design, all those natural colors that you use from beginning till end, they are always dull, no matter how sharp your screen might look. For example, if you're using a screen like mine, it look very sharp now, as if you are good to go with it. But I would advise you to do what? Work on the color grading of this. Now, if you want to work on the color grading, what do you need to do? I'm going to just work on this generally to make it pop. But if you are working with a brand that has a specific color, we're going to cover that in another day, how you can color grade such that you not change their color palette. I'll do the same thing here. I'm not going to change the color palette. However, I'm going to make it pop. Let's see how we can do that. Now, go to the very top here and click on Control Shift Alt E. When you click on that, what it's going to do for us is that it's going to create a stamp visible layer, convert it to smart object, and go to filter, run down to camera raw filter. So when you get to camera raw filter, that is exactly where you want to get the job done. I'm going to start from the very light part here, and under this light, I'm going to leave my exposure to be the same thing. However, I'm going to increase my contrast to tell the difference between the two colors that we use on this design. Therefore, I will increase this one a bit higher. I think this is fine. Now, if you look at it, we are already seeing difference. Click on this one so that I can see the difference simultaneously as you are working on it. Now, this is the after. As you are making the changes, you're going to be seeing the difference between them. And this will help you to caution yourself absolutely in order for you not to go out of proportion. Now, the next one there is what? The highlight. Take it to this 0. I want it to pop very well, and that's why I'm doing this crazy method here. I've not done this before, but I'm doing it for this particular project so that we can just what? Be free and be creative. Am I making sense now? Let's go on, guys. For the white, I'm going to increase the white to something close to what the contrast looks like. I think this is pretty much okay. Then take down what? The black, so that I'm going to increase the black as well. I think this is fine. Now, if you have this right now, the next thing you want to do now is to move to, I'm going to jump the color because I want to actually retain the same color. However, I can boost it up a bit. Then I'll take this one close to the yellow, and that will be, let's make it 8. I think that is fine. You can see it's popping out, but it's still maintaining the same color. That I want to look out for. Just increase this one a bit, maybe 1 or 2 is okay. Good. We don't want it to be too far from the green, and we don't want the green to be too much. So if was that what happened here, you see that we increase the yellow, not the blue, because we don't want to tamper with the blue, and likewise the green as well. I don't want to do much talk here because you need a very full gist on how to undo color grading. You can just copy whatever value I set you down with or around that value for now. We're going to make extensive tutorial by which we are going to explain how the camera raw filter works. I hope you understand that. And if you would like me to create some form of preset for this particular aspect, you can let me know in the comment section of the video. I'll be glad to do that for you. Let's go on. All right. So the vibrance also, we can increase the vibrance also. Let's just leave it something here. And the saturation, let's put it a bit pop. We don't want to change the color. Let's leave this like that. For the effect now, let's increase the texture. Remember, when you are increasing the texture, you are increasing the sharpness of the design as well, and you are increasing the depth. Now, clarity, let's increase the clarity as well to a bit pop. Good. And the next thing here is the haze, and we'll also increase that one also to something here. It's not just good. Then let's leave the remaining ones like that. We already have what was it called, noise at the background, so there's no point adding more grain. So close this. Good. The next thing, leave the curve, the color mixer, leave it for now. Let's go to the color grading. Yeah, for the color grading, the shadow part is the dark part of this design. And when you look at the dark part of this design, it's towards the blue area. So take it down to the blue area. Absolutely. See, and when you look at the highlight part of this design is the green part. The green is the light color on this design, right? Then let's just take this closer to this place like this. You understand? To pop everything. You see the before and after. Can you see? If you have submit this one and I submit this one, which one is looking good? Can you see? Absolutely, you agree with me that mine is looking absolutely good. Now, for the blend mode, for the blending rather, let's increase this to 100%. All right. And for the balance, I think take this down to minus 47 or 40 something. Let's leave it at 43. This is fine. So what's the next thing to go into? Let's go into the details. I increase the sharpness. Let's increase the sharpness very high. And the noise reduction, because the texture is already looking too much, then color reduction as well. Let's reduce it a little bit more. Okay, I think this is quite okay now. You can see the two different between the two now. Look at the before and look at the after. The design now pop out very much well. And click on OK. And I'm happy to tell you that we are done. Look at the before and after. Before and then after. Before and then after. You can see it pop out very much well. Now, thank you so much for watching to this time. I really appreciate you. Do well to share this video among your friends and colleagues. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Till the next class, let's keep creating.